Okay, so I'm here to talk about food, but probably in a different way than you've heard about it before. So let me begin. Food. Food is fuel. Food fuels me. How many people would agree with that? This is not a trick question. Food fuels you. Right, if you participated in the energy break we just had, you would have probably had something to eat. Okay, but how many of you have actually thought about how much fuel goes into food? How much fuel does it take to get food on your plate? So according to American author and food activist Michael Pollan, it's 10 calories of fossil fuel for every 1 calorie of food. 10 calories of fossil fuel, 1 calorie of food. In Canada, that statistic is probably much higher because, of course, we have longer distances to travel, we have a shorter growing season, and we have more imports of food. So this is not sustainable. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so I want to go back to the beginning. Hello, I'm Alison Thompson, and I'm a recovering chemical engineer. I am. After graduating from McGill University with 2 chemical engineering degrees, I made my school super proud because I moved into the energy industry. And in the 1990s and even in the 2000s, the word energy was more of a euphemism for hydrocarbon or fossil fuel or even oil. And I did it all. I worked for a coal power-fired company. I worked for an oil sands company. I worked for a conventional oil and gas company. I even earned a full-time Queen's MBA. I mean, I was doing all that. And I was growing frustrated, though, in my job. Because, again, thinking about, maybe not I'm recovering, maybe I'm reformed now, a reformed chemical engineer. Because I think I use my chemical engineering now for good purposes or for better purposes than I was before. But I was really growing frustrated in my employment that there are technologies that are available to companies and they weren't adopting them. Or if they were adopting them, they were doing it very slowly and they were actually causing more harm to the environment than they really needed to. And I thought, like, this is not what we're able to do, what we're capable of doing. And so in 2006, I had my first professional epiphany, and I started to redefine the word energy. And so for me, energy now is alternate energy. It's green energy, it's sustainable energy, it's renewable energy. And the real awakening, the epiphany, was that I think we're being a little bit misled because renewable energy can provide all the same things that we have right now that we've grown accustomed to with the convenience of energy. But it can also provide great social good. It provides those skilled jobs. It provides, obviously, benefits to the environment. It's everything that maybe we can aspire to. But as opposed to aspiring to it, we could have it right now if we wanted to. So in 2009, I left the oil patch and I started to work in the renewable energy business full-time. And so I do a lot of these kind of awareness presentations to people just to build their confidence up, to give them more information about the choices. But then that feeling happened again. I started to feel a little bit frustrated, a little bit, why aren't things working fast enough? And the industry has made great strides, especially around renewable power. So Canada has a lot of renewable power if you also count hydropower as renewable. But we've really not yet touched the surface when we're talking about electrification of cars or certainly renewable heat. So heat from a renewable source is available to us as well. And so that's when I had my second epiphany. As opposed to standing up here and always being a teacher, I would be a role model. I would do these projects myself. But large renewable energy projects, especially power, are quite hard. And so my company, Borealis Geopower, we decided to go small, but in the most impactful way we could. And so we're using renewable energy, which is heat. We keep it as heat. We don't convert it into anything, but we use that heat to create a food product. And this is what our dream is and what we're trying to infuse Canadians with, that they know that they have a choice. And so we want to take the idea of organic farming. So who eats organic food on a regular basis? Okay, so the concept here is to take organic a step forward, a step further, coupling organic food with renewable energy to create a truly premium, feel-good project and product. And so what that is, it's fossil fuel-free food, or F4. Fossil fuel-free food. And so we talked at the beginning about 10 calories of fossil fuels in every calorie that you're eating. Possibly that number is greater in Canada. It doesn't actually have to be that way. And there's already some countries in Europe who figured this out, most notably the Netherlands. And so it's local, it creates employment, it's good for the environment. We can have food diversity and choice 12 months of the year because we're using greenhouses, especially vertical greenhouses. You can grow a lot as opposed to using just a small piece of land. You use a small piece of land, but you grow up, and also even just soil warming. And so these things sound, well, how is she going to do all that? It's a bit, though, thinking about it's beyond the 100-mile diet. How many people have read that book? Love that book. That was probably another one of my 1.8 epiphanies. But even the authors of 100-Mile Diet were kind of like stifled a little bit and frustrated themselves about how much food they could get in their 100 miles when they wanted it or what they wanted. Because, of course, food grown in Canada is dependent on weather. And so if we can decouple food from fossil fuels, but also decouple it from weather, using renewable energy and in greenhouses, then we really can take a big step forward. And so I ask people to imagine fresh food, not the ones that are flown in or trucked in, and imagine eating whatever you want, whenever you want. Has anyone been to Iceland? Okay, in Iceland, they grow bananas, and they grow tomatoes and cucumbers and strawberries and all kinds of things that they shouldn't be able to grow there. And their latitude is as high up as Northwest Territories, as Yellowknife. And so you're thinking, if they can be doing it that far up, why can't we be doing it here? And they've really based their energy system around renewable energy, and specifically geothermal energy. And so this brings me to the Sustainaville concept, Sustainaville. In 2015, I joined a movement. The Natural Step is an international organization that enables or transitions people and companies and communities and governments to be more sustainable. And through the Natural Step, I became a member of the Alberta Energy Futures Lab. And through that, they challenged me to think big, but of course act local. And I was already thinking about these things, but we didn't have a name for it. So the word Sustainaville came out of that. And it's a model village or a community where people can live and they can have local energy and local food and diversity of employment and environmental benefits, and they can do it all. And so one of the things that you have to think about is, well, who wants to do that? Well, there's actually quite a few communities. I think we've heard about some people today talking about working with communities who would really do that if they had a choice. And so I'm proud to say there's one town in BC that is striving to do this, striving to build this with us. But like most things, it's a bumpy road. In our country and in our province, there's regulations and actual laws that need to be changed in order to accommodate a project like this. And you think, what? That sounds like so benign. That sounds like it should be easier to do. But in fact, it's not. At the federal and provincial level, we have just not set up our energy system to include renewables and to be able to facilitate projects like this. So as much as I speak about what's possible, I also put the other hat on every day and have to work to change the rules. And that's a bit more than I kind of agreed to when I did my chemical engineering degree. And so I certainly want to make that easier for those who come after us. And so there's also the education of the system, explaining to people what geothermal is, what renewable energy is. There are customers to find who are being, would be prepared to pay a premium price, or at least value the premium price, and maybe want to market that product. We've been fortunate that we have found a joint venture partner, Athena Farm Holdings. They're out of BC, and their customers already include people like Whole Foods and Urban Fare and Community Natural Foods. There's also investors that we need to find. We need to find investors who don't mind being first for the right reason. It's never easy being first, but when the reason is compelling enough, we're finding that those people may come to us more naturally, like a magnet, but we need to get the word out even more. And so then once these greenhouses are built, we can start to see what we hope are positive changes in the community with respect to maybe health, living a little bit closer to the land, maybe getting your fingers dirty, your hands dirty, maybe working in a community greenhouse, having that connection between food, energy, fuel, health. These are all things that we can do a better job at in Canada, and it's possible. So we think this is a healthier alternative to the status quo. And they might ask them, so why aren't we doing this yet? And that's what I'm here to talk about today. And I ask you as well, when people say kind of outrageous things about, well, that sounds really hard. They can't do that in Canada. Push back and say, well, we can do that in Canada. You just haven't been given maybe the full information yet, or the governments aren't yet on board with understanding that they could be facilitating projects like this. And I'd like to be a role model again, not just a teacher, and show people it can be done. And so the fossil fuel-free food, F4, fossil fuel-free food. We can have it all. We can have a Sustainaville. So in closing, my name is Alison Thompson. I work for Borealis Geopower. I'm co-creating, along with the Natural Step and my company and the community of Valemount, BC, we're co-creating Canada's first geothermal village, and we call it Sustainaville. And my ask is that you go forth in your own life and just, when you can, start to think about the source of your food. And if you had more control or more choice over it, what would you choose? And by amplifying that message, by letting people know, number one, there is a choice, and exercising that choice, we can actually start to have marketplace choices. So again, my ask is that we contemplate where our food comes, the health of it, and can we do it a different way? Thank you.